My name is John Tonetti, and I've been attending Restoring Warriors since March, so it's been about 5 months now for me. If I was to describe what God's done in my life since I joined Restoring Warriors, I would call it accountability. I have true accountability now in a way that I've never had before. My entire adult life, I would say, I've been attending church, I've been a believer, but I've been attending on my own or maybe with my mom, but none of my social circle, none of my friends, none of my coworkers. And so because of that, it's always been a experience where I go to church on Sunday and I felt like I would be filled with the Holy Spirit when I left there, but eventually that feeling would wear off and I would just slip into my same habits, my same addictions, my same struggles, my same sins. And by Saturday, it was just right back to where I was before. And now with Restoring Warriors, I come and I talk about my struggles, I talk about my issues, I talk about my problems. I see other people there that have the same issues and struggles, and it makes me realize that I'm not alone in these struggles. And I'm able to talk to people honestly and openly about them in a way that I can't just talk to people. I wasn't able to just talk to my regular social circle, my regular friends, and have them accept my sin the same way that a Restoring Warrior does. There's not a single moment that stands out to me as being the most significant at Restoring Warriors. To me, it's every single week that I go, I get the same powerful experience. Every time I go, I get value out of the first hour of listening to somebody talk about their testimony or maybe a presentation. But it's the second hour where we break into smaller groups that has been a really powerful experience every single week. Every single week I come out of there having cried, having laughed, having my heart pulled towards Jesus and towards God. I come with a refreshed feeling of the Holy Spirit in me, a refreshed hope that the next week will be better than the last week was. So yeah, every time it's a powerful experience. It's not just a single thing that's standing out for me. My faith journey was largely a Sundays only before Restoring Warriors. Like I said, I would go to church on Sundays, and that the feeling of being filled with the Holy Spirit would last usually the rest of that day, maybe into Monday, but by the middle of the week, I was not thinking about God, I was not praying, I was not reading the Bible. I was effectively just waiting for the next Sunday to get filled up again. And now with Restoring Warriors, not only do I have another day, I have Tuesday where I can fill up with the Spirit, but it stays with me and it changes my attitude. I now text and I'm on a social media platform called GroupMe with the rest of the Restoring Warriors, and I'm interacting with other Christians and other believers all week. I can interact as much or as little as I want to, and what I found is that I want to all the time. I am constantly checking my GroupMe. It probably doesn't help me get away from my internet addiction, but I don't see it as a negative. I see it as a positive, and it's just love flowing all over, prayers flowing all over, support flowing all over, and that's all week, every day. I started my journey to find a group years ago, decades ago. I've been looking for a small group for decades, literally decades, since before I lived in Colorado. I moved here 8 years ago. But even the churches that I attended in Minneapolis, where I moved from, I tried to find small groups. I had this hole in my heart that could only be filled with fellowship. And I tried a dozen different small groups. I went to a dozen small groups one time. And every time I quit going because I felt like the people were in a different stage of their life, or the people were weird, or they didn't have the same interests as me, or they talked a different way than me. And they didn't ever connect with me. I never connected with other people in a really deep friendship way. We had the common base of Christianity, but I just didn't connect with people in a deep way outside of that one thing. And I continued that journey here in Colorado, and it was honestly just an answered prayer where one of the small groups I went to wasn't a good fit, but the guy was determined to find me a group that did fit. And he took me to another place, and that place didn't work, and they took me to another place. And I kind of followed that train about 5 times until I got to Scott Sweeney, and somebody introduced me to Scott Sweeney at Red Rocks Church. And just the way Scott described the group, I knew it was for me. I knew it was for me. And I went that first time, and the second I got in there, I knew that was my life. So right before I joined Restoring Warriors, I had just gotten out of a relationship with a woman I'd been dating for 5 years. It was the longest relationship of my life to this point. We didn't get married, but we were living together for all practical purposes. We were effectively married. We broke up partly because, I'd say a major reason was because of the disconnect in our faith journeys. I was a believer and she wasn't, and we just couldn't come to a common ground. So I was in a stage of feeling some loss, but I had also, right before joining Restoring Warriors, in between my breakup and joining Restoring Warriors, I had an experience with the Holy Spirit. I can go into this another time, but the Holy Spirit came and visited me and literally shook me, like threw me on the ground and shook me, and really solidified my faith. And that was a result of a new strategy of just praying loudly and boldly for weeks. And when I did that, when I prayed loudly and boldly, the Holy Spirit came and visited me, actually 2 different nights, in a really powerful way. And that just took my faith to 100%. It was unshakable. It still is completely unshakable. It took it from 75, 80% belief that Jesus was there and listening to me to 100%. I know he's listening to me now. And so when I joined Restoring Warriors, I was already in a really good place with my faith, but I didn't have any fellowship. I didn't have other men that I could talk to about it. So I was evangelizing and telling people, this is what happened to me. And people were interested, but they couldn't relate. And when I got to Restoring Warriors, I could see people's eyes light up, and people really just believed me. And they believed me in a way that other people did not believe. Other people, when they hear the Holy Spirit come and takes over you like that, other people don't understand what that means the same way that a true believer does. When a true believer knows that you were visited by the Holy Spirit, they can feel that in their hearts as well. My relationship with God and with Jesus Christ, I would say, was pretty good before I joined Restoring Warriors, but it has gone from an 8 or a 9 to a 9 or a 10. I now have Jesus in my life every day. I pray every meal. I pray when I get up every morning. I pray before I go to bed. I talk about Jesus with my friends every day, with the other Restoring Warriors every day. Jesus has completely invaded my life. My life centers around him now, where it did not before. My prayer life has improved, I'd say somewhat. Right before I joined Restoring Warriors, I had really leveled up my prayer efforts and the amount of time and just how I prayed in general. Not only the duration, but the number of times and everything about it was really increased going into Restoring Warriors. Like my faith journey, I would say that my prayer practices have gone from maybe an 8 to about a 9 or a 10 now. I just pray more often, more frequently. I pray with more intent. I pray for other people a lot more now. I used to pray for the same 2 or 3 people all the time, people that I wanted Jesus to bless or people that I wanted to experience Jesus. But now I have a very deep backlog of people that I pray for. Every day I pray for at least 5 of my fellow warriors, and I try to rotate those through. And in my opinion, that type of prayer increases my connection to the Holy Spirit and to Jesus, and I can feel that. My family has noticed a big difference in me. My friends have noticed a big difference in me. My personal mantra has become, I'm broken, but I'm a beacon. And as I try to live that out every day, and I try to be a beacon of God's love and God's grace and his mercy, and try to just exude the fact that Jesus is listening to me, and I try to live like he is standing there next to me and listening to what I say, other people can see that. And I've had many people tell me that I look noticeably different, that my attitude is noticeably different. I had a friend come and visit me a couple weeks ago who's going through a divorce now. And I just testified to him, evangelized to him, told him what my experiences would have been like. And he got back to work, and on Monday he said everybody around him told him he was shining because of that. And he's now shining with the Holy Spirit. Being part of this brotherhood has impacted my life in only positive ways. Very, very positive, and only positive ways. I believe that being part of any brotherhood, if it's not based in sin, if it's not based in some bad thing, if it's based in love, then I feel like any brotherhood is beneficial. But this one is based not only on love, but also love for Jesus. And to me, that's where all of our hearts should be pointed. And so to have my heart aligned with my brothers, all pointed towards the actual biblical truth, has been really, really powerful. My view on biblical manhood has definitely shifted since joining. I believe, like probably a lot of the men in the group, my view of manhood has been warped by our current culture. We've been told to just be equal partners in everything. We've been told that everybody is created equal, that everybody loves everybody else the same way, and that we should all love each other the same way. And I agree with that to some extent. I also believe that as men, we are destined to be leaders, that we need to take what God has given us and what God has told us to do, what the Bible tells us to do, and we need to implement that in ways that are sometimes uncomfortable. And I have always been a people pleaser. I've always tried to tell people what they want to hear. And this group now has shifted my mindset such that now I'm able to speak with real biblical truth, whether that's what they want to hear or not. And I'm able to speak with grace and gently to people, but I'm not trying to please them anymore. I understand that you can't please humans and God at the same time. You have to pick one or the other. And so it's shifted my mindset completely from trying to please people to trying to please God. I fail a lot, but that's what I try to do. I would say that my consistency with Restoring Warriors has changed my relationships along with everything else, but it's really just a total shift of my core and of my mindset. And I think that comes through in relationships. I'm able to enter relationships now with love. Even relationships with people that I've already loved, like my brother, I noticed my heart soften to him. Because we've known each other for so long and we're very close, I tend to hold him to a higher standard, and I did tend to try to speak with an undertone if I wanted him to change his behavior in some way. And I do this to everybody, but my brother Paul is the best example of this, where I would a lot of times speak with love, but there would be an undertone of, I want you to change something. Like, hey, I maybe would have said it this way. And I try to get people to just shift a little bit. And now I stop doing that. I now speak to people with grace. I give him forgiveness and grace, and I don't try to change him anymore. And that's just one example to me of how my internal mindset has completely changed, such that I don't worry about other people's behavior nearly as much anymore. I don't try to change other people. All I try to do is tell them that God has been working in my life, that Jesus has been working in my life, and they can pick up on that. If somebody told me they were on the fence about joining Restoring Warriors, I would tell them that's ridiculous. There's no reason not to. It's been nothing but an extremely positive experience for me. There's no downside. No downside I can think of. It's just been awesome. I just want to encourage everybody to join. If it's not this group, if you're a woman, if you don't live close enough, I would just encourage everybody to join some group like this. Ideally this one, if you can. But if not this one, join a group. And I believe that the church was never intended to be the structured type of mechanism, the system that we have today. I believe that is only the front door to get you into what I call a church of other people, where it's not just one person talking and everybody else listening. It's everybody engaging and talking about their experiences, talking about Jesus. And just finding that group where you can have true fellowship and not just a Sunday fill up.